2, go.
Hello, everybody. Woo-hoo. We'll hold it out a little bit. Okay. Welcome to the November 12th, 2020 String Along Quilt Guild meeting. And just toss this out there. I saw, as I was writing the date, tomorrow is Friday the 13th, 2020. Sorry, that just kind of struck my funny bone. All right, well, I want to welcome everybody. Thank you for attending. We are recording for those who are unable to attend. We did find that the noise in the room really picks up on the feed, so we want to make sure that we're courteous to our speaker, but also so that the people at home can hear well. So thank you for everyone for helping us with that. Our membership, Nancy Ostertag has been accepting money, registration, dues. And so if you gave her a check, please think if you have had a change of address since last year. And if you have, please make sure that you give her the new address and phone number and email, that sort of thing. So, moving right along. Oh, we need...
Oops, we lost her already. She's running out the door.
All right.
My name is Bonnie.
I know.
No.
Okay. Okay. Now I have all this stuff here, and figure out how to. Okay, we're good. All right. So thank you, Nancy, for filling in for Nancy. We don't have any guests with us tonight, but we do have a new member that some may not know. She joined actually last February, pre-COVID. And so we do want to welcome again Debbie Marshall.
Debbie!
We're glad that you joined us and glad you came out this month.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, well. Okay, along with the membership committee information, the dues for 2021 are $30. You should make your checks payable to SAQG. And if you have it tonight, give it to Nancy Ostertag. If you don't, you can mail it to the membership committee as listed in the newsletter, or bring it next month. But they are due January meeting, right? Okay. All right. Reports. Treasure.
Well, you want a treasurer's report?
Well, if you want to give us a treasurer's report.
Yes, I can. We haven't had one in like forever.
Yes, we have it.
Okay. I'll just go with the November balance. So we have in our main account $18,917.63. In the raffle account, we have $5,957.44. And Quilts of Valor has $3,735.33.
So why do we need that much money in our account, Marianne?
In the main account?
Yeah.
Because we have a Expo Center bill that will have to be paid before we actually have the quilt show, and that's gonna run probably about $8,000.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's the main thing.
Okay.
And then, you know, you have to have change and, you know, all this other kind of stuff has to
Lots
be
of money before
paid beforehand, exactly.
Yes.
And since we were planning to have that this year, those funds were there in order to be able to do that. So I know that was one of my questions when I joined was, oh my goodness, wow. So I always ask because there's usually someone that doesn't know that. All right, thank you, Mary Ann. Quilts of Valor, Flo, do you have something for us? There you go.
Hi, I'm Flo Schneider. I'm the group leader for String Along Stars and Stripes, Quilts of Valor, over here for Northwest Indiana. Quilts of Valor, we've had our group, we've celebrated 6 years as a group, and we have over 55 members, and we've awarded over 450 quilts here in Northwest Indiana. Things have slowed a lot right now the last few months as far as presentations. We've only done a handful, mainly because of not being able to be in contact with the veterans. But I do have to say the members of the Quilts of Valor are still going and making quilts for that one big day that we can start giving the quilts to our veterans to say thank you for our service. We just had a block challenge over the last 3 months, and 15 quilters made over 162 blocks, furnished 3 completed quilt tops and 1 completed quilt. And Pat Polera and Nancy Moore were big winners with gift certificates to Sweet Stitches. So I wanted to thank each one of those quilters. And again, like I say, I hope you thank a veteran for their service and welcome them home in the meantime until we can present them the Quilts of Valor. So, thank you. Oh, I
You
do
want to
have,
go ahead and tell about the wool?
I do. String Along, we received an email to our String Along account from a lady here that in Porter County that raises Porter, Hampshire, Hampshire sheep, and she has wool batting. She has about 7 or 8 quilt wool battings for sale at various sizes from 45 by 60 up to 90 by 90. So if anyone is interested in purchasing one, please contact me or call me, and I will give you the information then for. But these are pure wool battings from Porter County sheep. So, so thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, let's go. Flo, did you have anything on newsletter to say? I'm sorry.
It's going okay. I hope
Okay.
everyone's getting their copies.
Okay. If you have any issue with getting, sorry.
COVID.
It's called can't swallow my spit or breathe in my spit. If you have any trouble where you're not receiving your newsletter or anything like that, just contact Flo. All right. Bev is not with us tonight. Karen is not with us tonight. Both of these ladies, Bev is our publicity chairman, and so if you have any ideas on how to promote our guild or anything like that, do contact Bev, and her contact information is in the newsletter. And then we also do pet beds, your scraps, the scraps that are too small for you to do something with, those are sewn into a pillowcase, and Karen collects those to donate to the animal shelters for pet beds.
Karen Gudarelli.
Karen Gudarelli, yes, I'm sorry. We have a few Karens. Okay, Becky Hall, do you have something to tell us or anything on comfort quilts?
Not right now, because nobody's had a chance to make any.
Okay.
So we've pretty much given out what we have.
Okay, they've given out what they have, and they have not received any more. So if you are stuck in the house, which the way numbers have been lately, and more people are staying home again, if you want to make a comfort quilt, Becky is our contact person, and we really appreciate that. We make comfort quilts for different, what are some of the places that we donate to?
Three places in Belleville, up to 3 places. Casa is one of them. There's and I don't remember the name of the place, a shelter home on Calumet Avenue that we've given quilts to.
You mean family services?
Family services, yes.
Okay.
So mostly them.
Are there any size requirements or any specifications?
Well, they sometimes request some from us, like baby quilts or, depending on what they need at the time. So, but they don't have to be super large. So, yeah.
Sounds good. I know Quilts of Valor does have specifications size-wise, but our comfort quilts do not. So there's something for everybody. All right, that brings us to Pam Fleege. Did you want to share? We've kind of struggled with our block of the month this year, just because we haven't been together, and so we haven't been able to share. But Pam has got a block, and it might be something that you like and would like to make a quilt, make a comfort quilt with it or something. So come ahead, Pam.
Okay. I think I'm far enough away I can take my mask down.
Let me
So I can
put,
speak better. I had a couple of choices, and then I found an old book that I had that did crazy quilts. And I thought, how wonderful to use up our scrap. Like you said, if it's not big enough to use in a block, you put it in the comfort quilt bag. But I found some scraps and I decided to do crazy quilt. And I had so much fun with them. And the directions are: pick a color, find at least 5 fabrics in that tone, and put them together. Everybody's made I hope you've all made a crazy quilt. If not, get on Pinterest and learn how. But I made an orange one, and I found teal, and then I was looking through my scraps and I found that cork fabric that and I thought, I'm going to put that in there. So it doesn't have to be cotton. It can be it can be velvet. It can be, looking in my book, there were a lot of antique ones that had lace and everything else. But if you start with one color and go around that one, when you turn it in, we will just have a rainbow of crazy patches. So this is a crazy patch quilt block.
Okay, what size is it?
Oh, very good, thank you. The directions are to start with a color, use at least 5, and then square up to 6.5 by 6.5.
okay.
And then I'd also like you to, almost everybody has a machine that has a few of the decorative top stitches. If you could top stitch along 2 or 3 of the seams, it really makes it pretty. Now I have a hint. Do not start at the edge. start in the middle and go out, because with your, it just goes down into the hole. I don't know how to explain it. Okay, I'm gonna show them
Yeah.
up close, and I will pass these around.
Yes.
Okay.
Isn't that pretty? It really is.
With the top stitching. And here's my cork one.
Oh.
I found this cork and I had to dig for beiges. And the top stitching looked really good on the cork. It's right there.
Yeah, that's great.
And here's my orange. These were left over from a pumpkin quilt I made. Is that close enough? Are you
Oh,
seeing?
that's good.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, so here are the directions, super simple, and I'll pass them around. Thank
And
you.
Flo will put them in the newsletter.
Thank you so much, Pam. I think, I haven't been in the guild that long, but I have discovered that if Pam is gonna do a project for us, it's probably gonna use scraps. Using up your stash, and it tends to be scrappy, which we all need. Okay, so, that being said, like I mentioned, the block of the month has been a little difficult this year because of not meeting and that sort of thing. So, when the board met last week, we discussed this and decided that moving into 2021, instead of a block of the month, I'll take one, Pam, thank you. Instead of the block of the month, we're going to do a project of the month. And the project will be something small. It might be a table runner, it might be a table topper, a placemat, a small wall hanging. Let your imagination run. But it should be something small that you can do very, basically in one sitting. It might be something for your home. It might be something you use as a gift. But keep it relatively simple. When you sign up, we have a sign-up sheet of someone who will present the project, just like we do our block of the month. When you present it, let's say you sign up in January, your project will most likely be something that would be for February. So maybe something heart or, Valentine's, something, whatever. We will have a project to show you next month that will be geared towards January. So when you're thinking about this, be thinking about what you would be doing for the next month. So, that being said, we have a sign-up sheet for this, and we'll start passing it around. We also, on the other side of it, is a sign-up for greeters. And those of you who are at home, if you would like to sign up for a specific month, go ahead and type it in, and we will add you to the list. If you have to check calendars or whatever, then just let Bonnie know. And we would be happy to add you to the list. Right now, it's a clean slate. So, all righty. Project of the month. Okay. It will also be an opportunity for those that maybe don't get to do much sewing to have something to share for show and tell. I know there's other ladies like me who work full-time and don't get a lot of sew time, but sometimes I can fit in a little project. So it's kind of nice to have something to share ever so often. So be thinking about it that way. Okay, new date, quilt show. Quilt show 2020 focus, well, they say hindsight is better than foresight, so Pat Polera has asked Flo to send out an email to everyone and to notify them that our quilt show will be moving to April 1 through 3, 2022. Even looking at the 2021, the restrictions and everything in place at the Expo Center was just not something that the board felt that we could manage at this time. So it was felt that it was necessary to move it off another year. We did not lose any money, and they transferred our $500 deposit to the new year date, so that's good. Are there any questions about the quilt show for 2022? Or any of the details about it?
The first is a Friday and that will be our setup.
Okay, the first is a Friday and it will be our setup. And then the show will be on Saturday and Sunday as typical for us. Okay. Moving along, Christmas dinner and meeting next month will begin. As usual, our meeting on December and the picnic both start early. So it will start at 6 p.m. and doors will open at 5. We do need 7 more volunteers to decorate tables. So we would like to have our tables nicely decorated like we have in the past. It's always been a fun activity. So please, you can contact me or Bonnie if you're willing to decorate a table for a Christmas party. And Mary Ann.
Sally?
Yes.
If there's only gonna be 4 at a table?
4 at a
Yes,
table.
yes, we will. As you can see how we have the tables spread out, we'll have no more than 4 at a table. And this will give us plenty of space for everybody. And we want to make sure that we are conducting our meetings in a safe manner in a way that people can feel comfortable coming to. All right, Mary Ann is going to talk to us about how we're going to handle dinner. Yes.
Are you going to ask everyone to RSVP to have an accurate head count?
Yes, we will.
Normally, we have a big potluck carry-in, which is always really yummy. The board decided that we should streamline things with COVID and all that's going on. So I contacted Ivy's Bohemian House here in Chesterton.
Yes.
And we are going to be having boxed lunches. And we have 3 different choices for you to make. And then it will be supplemented with some fruit and bottled water. And if you want to bring your own coffee or tea, you can do that. The sandwich choices are chicken salad on an herb focaccia bun. There's a Cuban sandwich, which is pork, ham, and pepper jack cheese. And then there's a hummus veggie wrap for those of you who are into the vegan or veggie. And then it comes with chips and a cookie. And so we will supplement with some fruit, and that will be our dinner.
We will have water.
Water, and yeah, I said if they want a hot drink.
Oh, right.
We haven't quite decided, what kind of drinks we're gonna provide. But I do have a sign-up sheet. We will need a count of how many people are coming and what kind of sandwich you want. Yes,
So you don't want us to bring anything
No.
to share?
right. Right. Bring your own drink if you want, other than
Yeah.
water or coffee if we decide to have that. So I do have a sign-up sheet, and those of you who are watching us tonight and are not here with us, Flo will put all this information in the newsletter with my phone number and you can make your reservation with me. And we would like the reservation probably at least the Monday of the week of our meeting. So the meeting's on December 10th, so whatever that date would be. I can't count backwards. Any other questions?
When does the newsletter come out? Does it come out before the first?
December
Okay.
1st.
So there's time for the last reminders on that. Okay, great.
Yeah, and maybe, if, I don't
We
know.
can shoot out an email earlier too, if we want to.
Yes, I
That'd
got one.
probably
just
be
on
good.
Christmas party,
As
yeah.
a reminder, yeah.
Okay, so I'll pass this around. Any questions on the menu or? Okay,
Dessert. What about the dessert?
it's a cookie.
Oh.
There is a cookie and I will have fruit. So we'll just keep it simple. But their sandwiches are very good, so. And the club is picking up the cost.
Thank you, Mary Ann. All right. Well, are there did anybody at home have questions on the Christmas dinner, Christmas party? Also at Christmas, it will be the reveal. We will show our mystery quilts. We are asking you to bring your finished mystery quilts for the show and tell. Remember, we have those that have completed your mystery quilt all the way through to quilting. Your name will go into a drawing for a gift basket. And so you want to make sure that you get in on that. We will be making, we will have an ornament that will be made, and so you won't want to miss that. We will practice safe distancing, and it'll be a nice evening.
Okay,
Are we doing an ornament exchange this year?
No,
No, we're going to make an ornament.
yes.
Okay. I think there might be some other activities that are planned for that evening too, so you won't want to miss it. Okay, so this will, I have one more meeting that falls under my reign. And I am ready to turn the mantle of the Vice President and Program Chair over to Karen Winger. And she is going to be the Vice President for 2021 and 2022. So, welcome, Karen. And so, we just thought it would be a nice thing, a chance to get to know Karen and see some of the things that she's involved in. So, welcome, Karen.
All right.
Well, I'm Karen Wenger. Some of you know me from being at quilt retreats. Some of you know me from being at Cotton Cottage Quilts. And so I am honored to be the vice president. I can't tell you that it will be a completely smooth transition. Filling the shoes of Sally might be a little bit of a growing pain, but keep with me and I will do the best that I can. A little bit about myself. I started sewing at a young age with my grandmother. I was in 4-H and did all the fun projects that some of you who were in it can only imagine. We had many endless nights where my grandfather, who he's no longer with us, but my grandmother and I still continued to tease each other about how we would have him go on a Walmart run real quick because we'd break a zipper or we would mess something up or we'd have to have more fabric. And of course, if you can remember the 4-H years, you weren't sewing it a week before it was due, you were sewing the night before it was due. So, you know, if you can imagine, we were rushing and everything. But from a very young age, I blame all of my bad quilting, buying fabric, everything that comes with the expense of this lovely hobby, to my grandmother. But we still quilt together. She's still with us, and she does a wonderful job as well. We still get together with her. I went to Boone Grove Elementary, Middle School, and High School. I then went to Indiana University Bloomington. I studied fashion design and costume construction technology there. And then I did apparel merchandising at Indiana University. And then I went and did an internship in New York City for a dress company. I came back to IU and I did my master's in art education, and here I am today at teaching middle school students at Ben Franklin Middle School in Valparaiso, teaching art. So I am very creative during the day, but then I found myself getting more and more into sewing with my grandmother and making quilts because I was just losing a little bit of my creativity with the kids and teaching the kids, and I wasn't giving myself time to be creative. So I found quilting instead of garments, and I have just fallen in love with doing quilts, which led me to lots of wonderful people who have taught me a lot of different things, one of them being Bonnie. She kind of caught my attention on long arming, as you guys know. And so she kind of got me interested in that, and then working at Cotton Cottage Quilts, I got to run the long arm upstairs and just got really interested in doing my own and free motion, and so I've just kind of been going with that. I actually purchased the long arm from Elizabeth at Cotton Cottage, so I have my own long arm now, which is really awesome because you can be creative in your own ways, whether that be on your own quilts or other people's. But I wanted to share with you tonight just a little bit about the free motion and what goes into it. I don't know how many people have free motioned a quilt or even used a computerized machine to do a quilt. But I recently took a class with Jamie Wallen at Quilters Apothecary, and he taught me a lot. I highly encourage you to take one of his classes if you ever get the opportunity, even if you never thought you wanted to long arm. He will make you be so inspired that you will want to long arm. I know there are a lot of people out there that are afraid of it. But it's nothing to be afraid of, especially if you just practice on your own quilts, because you are your greatest critic, and hopefully you will enjoy the work you put into it. So I actually have some sheets. One of them is a handout that has Jamie's classes on there, and he is doing a lot of online classes right now, which is really cool as well. So it has a list of his classes, which, like I said, I would take them over and over with him. And then I also have some book ideas that I have found very useful in doing the free motion quilting. I actually have one of the books with me. The other two I have loaned out to other people, and I don't have them back yet. But I'll pass the book around as well so you can kind of see it. But then I also have a little workbook that I want you to kind of, me being a teacher, I like you to be interactive with me. So I'm actually going to pass around a packet that I have, and I want you to practice with me. And if you hate it, you can just doodle on the pages, and I probably will never know. But I am going to work with you through the packet so that you can practice as well. One of the things that Jamie taught me in my class was that you have to practice, obviously. One of the examples he gave was that, a professional golfer doesn't just go out the first day and have the best golf game of his life. You can't expect to be perfect the first time you do your quilt, if it's your first time quilting. But he also taught me that when I was doing a simple which I think of a simple pattern, he's told me to fill up 8 pages of the papers with that one quilt pattern. And I looked at him and I said, 8 pages? I said, are you crazy? And he said, no. He said, 8 pages is, a small number. You should probably actually do more. So I took him serious, and I literally took some of the designs that he had taught me. I took 8 pages of notebook paper. I took it to Staples, and I had him bound me a big old notebook that I literally sat there every evening while I was watching Netflix or TV, whatever you might be doing, and I just practiced over and over and over and over. And before you knew it, Bonnie was doing beautiful feathers, and I was just so jealous of her. And every time that she would be doing the feathers, she'd just say, well, just all you have to do is go boop, 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 and she would just do them. And I would say, oh my gosh, I can't go boop, boop. Like, I need more guidance. And with that practice of, I know it sounds crazy, 8 pages, I was boop, booping my way through a quilt. And I will pass around some of my quilts that I've done before I took a class, and actually took, turning it into something more serious and actually practicing and actually taking it and using what I've learned. And then after I have, practiced and taken my time on, focusing on practicing. So if you turn to that first page on the packet, there you go, sorry. I feel like I'm like a superstar.
Did those packets get?
Yes.
Okay.
Pam,
Like a superstar.
yeah, right. So on the first packet, I just put a blank page, because who doesn't like to doodle? On the second page, so you'll see number 1 up there, and that's a traditional meander, okay? The one on the left is the meander that Jamie was telling me how to kind of do a meander. So he gave the tip of kind of making like a dog bone. Can you see the dog bone on the left portion of the meander? And then if you look on the right portion of the meander, that's kind of what you get yourself caught into if you try and draw a meander. You kind of get yourself on those like long snake-like, and you get stuck in somewhere, so then you just come on down and you get kind of like the hot dog shape, if you will. So I thought that was a really awesome tip, is to focus kind of on creating that meander. Now, one of the things that he said, and I'll probably haunt myself, because he'll probably be like, I never told you that. But he also said, draw out like a shape that you would want to do a meander in for your quilt. And then inside of that shape that you have, practice the meander before you go right to your quilt and just go for it. So I put that on there for the number 1. I made the copies so that I drew it in Sharpie, mainly so that you could take your pencil. One of the main things of free motion quilting is also muscle memory. So if you take your pencil and just trace over that 2 or 3 times, hopefully on that next page, even if you have to tear that staple out, you should be able to make that same number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 on that blank sheet that I gave you. Or you can flip that top page over and you can simply see my Sharpie through the paper, and you can trace it that way as well. Just practicing, just doing the first couple, you'll find yourself and you'll get stuck. And then you'll see the importance of just continuing to practice over and over and over. And sometimes you're like, I don't want to sit here and draw that 8 pages worth. So then I go to the next page and I practice the next pattern. Then I go to the next page. And before you know it, you just start kind of doodling, and you just kind of takes away, hopefully. But if you fast forward to the, maybe it's the 4th page, 3rd page.
So he said 8 pages of a specific design.
Of one design. So every one design, you should have about 8 pages filled with just practicing. And then, hopefully you get that muscle memory going. If you look on the third, I think it's the third or fourth page, this page here, you'll see that then he took it and he taught us how to just echo. So just echoing some of those patterns that I showed you on those first pages. So trying to fill up the space. So this would be, yes, free motion, but also it could be like an edge-to-edge design. So you just filling up a space. So I drew that there. If you want to continue it, you can continue it. And then if you flip ahead a couple pages, he also taught us in one of the classes to draw out like a mock quilt of what you're doing. So practice borders, practice triangles, practice squares, practice diamonds, practice whatever shape that you traditionally put into a quilt, or maybe a quilt that you have to do, and draw out those shapes that you have. And then try, and your goal is to try and not pick up your pencil, right? Because that is the best way to practice, actually, because you can't just pick up your thread every, 2 steps. I mean, I guess you could, but you'd be having fun really hiding your threads in the quilt. But if you flip ahead 2 pages, at the very end there, I kind of taught you, or I kind of showed you, like at the end of taking a class with him, this is what I anticipated my quilts looking like. So, and I would have never, if Bonnie or somebody would have asked me if I could have ever done this, I would have said, no, I don't think I could have ever done that. But honestly, I mean, spending hours and hours of just practicing, and you will get there, because it is just muscle memory after muscle memory, just practicing. So I also drew you a blank border. I thought it would be kind of fun. I don't know if you guys will actually sit here, and some of you I see are doodling, which is awesome. But I thought it'd be kind of cool to see this blank template and see what different people do with, the different shapes of the pattern. So I thought that would be kind of neat to see. But while you're doodling, I'm going to show you a couple of the quilts that I do. I am not a perfectionist. I tell my students that every day. They love that I'm not a perfectionist, because if you can imagine, middle school boys are not perfectionists. But I tell them, as long as they have some reason for what they're doing, or they've given their full effort, I'm totally open to whatever they might create. With that being said, I love working with colors. I love trying to just throw things in somewhere that people would say, oh, you're going to do that. My grandmother, she would never approve of half of the quilt patterns that I pick out, because she's very traditional and everything has to match. My quilts go, they don't match. I love finding old pieces of quilts and then making something from them, and then making up a story about them. Like, someone didn't never finish this quilt and now I finished it for them. So I have a couple of quilts to show you. The first quilt, I actually received a bunch of these squares.
Can someone help it? There you
And
go.
some of you will be like, oh my gosh, I love these squares. I did not do these squares. I simply took the squares and I put some sashing in between them that maybe, I haven't finished the binding, Pam, that many people might say, oh, I would have never put those colors with that, I don't know what era those squares are from. Maybe they look like 30s colors to me,
They're
but
counted cross stitch.
counted cross stitch. Okay, so here's the story from this one. This one, these squares were found by a teacher that I used to work with at his aunt's cedar chest. He brought them to me and he said, do you want these? And I said, absolutely, I want these. They're beautiful. And then I just pulled colors from them that I thought went really nicely, and then put it together and asked him if he wanted it back, and he told me no, and he said keep it for whatever reason you want to keep it for. This quilt is done before I had any classes with anyone. And so you can see, you can pass this around, it doesn't bother me if you touch it and do whatever with it, but I simply did a little meander in the squares, and then you'll see my quilting is very simple. I mean, it fills the space, it goes with the quilt, but it's super simple. There's nothing difficult about the quilting on that specific quilt. So then moving on, some of the ladies that were at the retreat, I pieced this quilt.
Okay.
And I finished quilting this one. Now, this one I didn't think needed much because it kind of spoke for itself. So I did the swirls on the inside, but if you can see around the edges, which you can see some of my threads too, because that is me not being a perfectionist. But I did my feathering around the border, and it was one of the quilts that I had done just for fun, but at the same time it's still practice, and the feathers around the edges are something that I look back on and I get really excited because I'm like, oh, I did feathers and they look good. So that was another one, but that's a great example. That's free motion quilts that don't have a computer, but it's an edge-to-edge design. So I did the 4, swirls on the squares, and then the rest of it is just feathers and then the keyboards. Now be careful, I don't want to poke you. This one doesn't have the binding on either. Can you tell what I hate doing on a quilt? So this one is one that I actually showed at our drive-in quilt show that we had.
The trunk show.
But this one is a reversible quilt. And this is actually the top, but if you guys pass this around or look at it, you can see all of the different quilting on it that I did right after I took a class at Jamie's shop, and I was so inspired that I had to go home and just start quilting. And this is probably one of my favorites. If you look closely on the inside square, you'll see the same pattern that I doodled on that last page. You'll kind of see the quilting in there. And
Let's turn it over.
oh yeah, and then the back side, I say it's the mullet quilt because the back is fun and the front is business.
Oh, okay.
So the back is kind of wild and fun. And the top is business, so that's kind of my mullet quilt, if you will. But so it's just, like I keep saying, but it's just the muscle memory and then getting comfortable enough to just try it. But I hope that the handout helps. I hope that it could get you excited about, possibly trying free motion if you've never even thought about trying it, or maybe going to a place where you can rent a machine. I do have Jamie Wallen's books that he has, and you can purchase those through him as well. But they are just kind of neat books that you can look through, and and I can pass these around too, but you can get kind of an idea of where your long arming can go if you are into the long arming portion of quilting.
Domestic.
And you don't have to have a long arm to do long arm quilting. You can also do it on your domestic machines. I have lots of people who have the machines, and they are doing the similar designs that I'm doing as well. So, like I said, in a lot of his classes too, he'll teach you different marking techniques and things that you can use even on your domestic machines so that you know where to go and how to quilt on your machines. So I hope that you enjoyed that portion of me. This is kind of new. I mean, I don't know when I started doing the long arming for the shop, but, I mean, a couple of years. This is like brand new to me, but I highly encourage you to try it. I even invited my grandmother down to my long arm and I said, just go, just do it, just touch it, just move it. And she was like so nervous, and then she was like, you know, just squealing because she was so excited to just try and quilt it. And then she of course said, oh my gosh, like, you're cheating. You're supposed to do this by hand. And I'm like, okay. But so I'll pass the notebooks around. They're just pieces of artwork to even look at, but I highly encourage you. He's giving, like I showed you on the sheet, he's giving a lot of Zoom classes right now, and I highly, highly recommend sitting in on one, even if it's for the beginners. But it's there, and I hope you take advantage of it. And he's wonderful, and he's so inspiring. It will make you just want to go and be creative in whatever way that you can think about being creative. So that's basically me in a nutshell, and yeah, I hope I can fill your shoes, Sally. If I can't, I have your address, so I know where to find you. But
She'll be right here.
that's all I have for you.
Thank you, Karen. Well, that's show and tell time.
Yeah.
So, who has something for show and tell? Let's start, anything with Pam or Nancy? Okay. I see that Phil has stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Come right
Wherever
up
you
here,
want to
Nan.
go, and then I'll video from here.
And I'm here to show and tell something a little bit late and something a little bit early. So this is my COVID challenge.
Oh, pretty.
That was due like in May or June. I had it that it was ending here now in mid-November with hopes, but looks like it's going on the upsurge right now, but just sort of need my feelings about the COVID, what it stopped and what it had us, how we had to change our lives, et cetera, and for the year of 2020. So it started off good, and I'm still hoping for the shining light at Christmas time here then too, so. So it was a crazy kind of world, so.
That's pretty. I love that.
Bonnie, I want to make sure that they can see this.
What? Oh, isn't that nice? Wow, look at this, everybody.
Yeah.
Wow, very nice. Love it. I love that lace. That's really pretty. Yep, very good.
So there's focus challenge. And I'm going to, my other one is a peek for next month for the Summer Mystery Challenge. As far as it's done, completed. So I'm hoping that this one can show, joining a lot more for next month. Then.
Okay.
And it's big.
Boy, it is big. Ooh. Isn't that pretty? Oh my goodness, that's beautiful. Oh.
Is that the challenge?
Yeah, isn't that pretty?
mystery
Can you see it?
That's the Summer Mystery Challenge. You can put it on the floor.
What is your square fabric?
Pardon?
Is it cake squares? Yeah, what are your big squares? What is that?
What the fabric is?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the design? Is
Oh, things like feathers or.
Yeah, it was just,
some feathers.
it was, artistic.
Okay.
I thought I had it on the back, but I don't.
It's really pretty.
Uh-huh.
And then the white, yeah, it's just, well, scraps, it's all scraps.
Yeah, that's how I did mine too, it didn't look that good.
So ladies, fellow quilters, this is what it was the Summer Mystery Challenge. And,
Yes.
I know each one will be totally different. But
All right, wonderful.
Okay, Becky? And
wow, we got a good table here.
Pam. This is Pam Lee.
I'm Pam Lee. This is only the second adult-sized quilt I've made.
Oh.
But I did the labyrinth.
That's so pretty.
Wow.
Very nice.
And it's done.
Wow.
Debbie?
Okay. So I needed for my daughter-in-law something nice and warm because I needed something nice and warm for my daughter-in-law because we are a football family. So I actually got this pattern with help from Cotton. Yes, thank you. And I, instead of traditional quilt backing, I put Sherpa on the back. So it's nice and cozy, and hopefully we'll get to use it throughout the rest of the season.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Becky?
All right. You know what a thrift shopper I am? I found these already made blocks up at a thrift shop, so I thought I had to put them together somehow. For laundry.
Oh, that's adorable.
So cute.
Oh.
This quilt started out as a charity quilt, and it ended up a little large, and my mom really liked it. So it actually will work on a twin bed. These are pretty, but it'll be going for sale down the road.
Pretty.
And this is a quilt of valor from a kit that I picked up, I'm not sure when. What was it, July you did?
Wow, nice.
When was it?
Oh, yeah, August.
August, okay. But that's the finished quilt.
What is that on the back? What's
It's shiny. Flashy.
Yeah, it's just a backing I found that I thought looked kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Okay. Cindy Ferroni.
I guess I'm next. Well, this was from the Quilts of Valor Challenge that Flav had. And I put a note on it that said, I will finish it, but I wanted to get it in on time.
Oh, wow, pretty.
Nice.
I like that.
And every bit of it is for my stash.
Nice.
So it's kind of challenging to put together.
It's really
Because
pretty.
I had, you know, like 7 of this and 3 of that, 1 of these. And, you know, you don't want to have too much of the same fabric together next to itself. But this border with the little flags in it, I've got another 4 and something yards. So that's plenty enough for the backing and the binding.
Oh, nice.
And this one is preview of next month. I have the top together, I don't have it done, like some people.
Some people don't have the top
This is
together.
it's the mystery quilt.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Wow.
Amazing.
And I had some of these fabrics. And then I went to Sweet Stitches, and Darla helped me pick out the rest that I needed to get it done.
Get her done.
So now I gotta get her done by next month.
Yes, nice.
Darcy, do you have anything?
No, please.
Nancy?
machine.
I don't have the binding completely done, so
Amen.
I have my wonder clips on my side.
But it's an unofficial cult of valor that I'm hoping to give to my mom's husband for, I don't know, maybe even before Christmas, so.
Oh,
We can make it official.
Huh?
We can make it official.
Who said, oh, my stars?
Oh, my
Yes, it
stars.
is.
I said we can make it official for you.
And what does that involve?
We can have a
Do a
certificate,
presentation.
a label, and everything else put on
Yep.
there. And
Registered.
Present it to
Wow. Okay,
So,
Well,
sure.
you'll have to tell me how to do that. Yeah, but it is the Oh My Stars from Pat Sloan.
Pat Sloan.
I just thought it worked really well, and it was, the whole front was just from my stash, so.
Yeah,
I think I bought the back, because I just wanted a lot of back.
very nice.
Thank you.
Karen,
Karen,
Bonnie,
don't look at me.
Mary Ann, Karen, you already showed yours. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for coming and sharing your creations. It's just good to see everybody. So have a good evening. We'll see you next month. Be sure and let Mary Ann know what kind of sandwich or be sure and touch base with Bonnie about the project of the month and our greeters. Do we need January greeters?
We need one more January greeter. We need February, March, and all the way down to November for greeters, okay?
Okay.
But for project of the month, we need January, February, March, July, September, and December.
Okay.
That's project
So
of the month.
Quite a few,
Let us
quite a
know.
few places open. So and then let me know if you can do a table for Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay, so Christmas tables, project of the month, and greeters to Bonnie, and food, dinner, for a Christmas party to Mary Ann. And dues to Nancy or Ann Heisted, that I don't take over till January. So make sure you get those in by the January meeting. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
It's charging me double, huh?
Gotta talk to Flo. I haven't even swiped the thing yet.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Good night.